Hello everyone, Tim here, and today I want to discuss the very real possibility of licensed killers and survivors leaving Dead by Daylight. There is a high probability that Leatherface is leaving Dead by Daylight, so I won't include him in the ranking. I will be ranking the licensed chapters that are most likely to leave and the least likely to leave. Ash from Evil Dead will not be included due to the fact Evil Dead, the game, has been released and nothing has been affected inside the realm of DBD. Now please remember that this is my current opinion and predictions. I have no official news, it's just what I think will happen. Now with that disclaimer out, let's go to the rankings. We're going to start from least to most likely. And there are 9 chapters, so we're going to start off with number 9. Number 9, we have the Saw chapter. The Saw chapter released January 2018. The map has been reworked once and the killer has been nerfed several times. The chapter includes Pig, Detective Tap, and the Gideon Meat Plant. During the 5th Dead by Daylight anniversary stream, the owner of the Saw franchise appeared on the stream to promote the new movie, Spiral. It appears Dead by Daylight is in good tidings with the license holders of Saw. Also, the character last year was featured in the Rift, and typically if license holders and the game manufacturer are not in good graces, they won't release cosmetics for the game. So, in my current opinion, I think Pig is probably the safest killer at the moment. Okay, next one. The next one is number 8, Hellraiser. Hellraiser chapter released September 2021. No survivor map was included in the chapter. The chapter includes the killer, the Cenobite. The Hellraiser had a very rough start. There was controversy over a Pinhead NFT that scared a lot of people, but that issue was resolved within a month. Another issue presented itself, and this issue took months to resolve. The issue at hand was the voice lines of Pinhead, and the issue of who owned the rights to the Hellraiser franchise at that current point of time. Clive Barker greenlighted Pinhead for DVD, but the old license holder objected and a lawsuit ensued, and it gave everybody the Friday the 13th fears all over again. Then Pinhead didn't have any voice lines throughout that time, but the lawsuit ended and Pinhead stayed, and he regained his voice. So my reasoning behind him staying for a while is, since he had such a rough start, it only makes sense that everything from here on out will be smooth sailing. I give him the lifespan of 2 or more years with Dead by Daylight, so he's very safe at the moment. Now on to number 7. Number 7 is the first chapter that was ever licensed to be put into DVD. And the chapter I'm talking about is the Halloween chapter, which was released in October 2016 and has been renewed and reworked once, with Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, and the Haddonfield map. This was the first licensed chapter to be released in Dead by Daylight. This license has been renewed once, and we've received cosmetics due to the renewal. The map was reworked last year, and the logic behind this chapter staying in Dead by Daylight is in 2018 a new trilogy was released for the Halloween franchise, which concluded in 2022. At any point they could have revoked the license with Dead by Daylight, but they didn't. Now the trilogy has concluded, and I don't see why they'd pull a plug on the chapter, since it's still gaining revenue with the company. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if Dead by Daylight even receives more cosmetics for Halloween in the future. The lifespan, I'm assuming, for Halloween staying in the game is probably a year or more. On to number 6. Number 6 will be the Sadako chapter, which released in March 2022. This chapter has no map, but the chapter includes Sadako and Yoichi. The chapter is not even a year old yet. It's very fresh to Dead by Daylight, and another supporting argument is the franchise has been very dormant for this, I think it's The Grudge, in the last decade. So this is gaining revenue with the current license holders, so I don't really see why they would take this away, especially since it's been less than a year. And they've been very honorable to the franchise in general. I give it a year or more. Okay, now number 4 and 5 are merged because if one goes, they both go. And this one is the Resident Evil Project Wesker and the Resident Evil with Nemesis. The Nemesis chapter was released in June 2021 for the anniversary. It's been reworked into 2 different maps, the East Wing and the West Wing of Raccoon City Police Department. It includes Nemesis, Jill Valentine, Leon S. Kennedy, and then for Project W, it included the Mastermind, aka Wesker. It included Rebecca Chambers and Ada Wong. These chapters are from the amazing game franchise Resident Evil. Within a 5-year period, they revitalized the franchise and came out with a fan favorite remakes of the beloved games. Now, with that being said, Capcom is a very very consumer-heavy developer. If they notice a dip in the revenue, they could pull these characters from Dead by Daylight. A sign that they have a neutral relationship with behavior is the lack of new cosmetics on a regular basis. That's kind of a negative, because if they're not interested in their characters in Dead by Daylight, there's a very good chance they don't really care about the contract in general. But there is a positive that cancels the negative and kind of makes it a neutral. Is that even though Resident Evil Resistance and Reverse had a lukewarm reception, they let Dead by Daylight release Wesker and have not made any motions to remove the Resident Evil chapter from Dead by Daylight. But as they keep releasing remakes, eventually they will release a new Resident Evil game, and that's when we should be weary of them revoking the license. But that could be years. But they have been releasing Resident Evil games for about once a year, so just kind of keep an eye out. Next time, if we get Resident Evil 9, there's probably a good chance Dead by Daylight will lose our Resident Evil chapters. With that being said, I think the lifespan of this will be a year or more. It's pretty safe overall, I think. Now to the top 3. Number 3, that we, this is the 3 that we should be scared of leaving soon. Ghostface for number 3 kind of makes a lot of sense. Ghostface released in June 2019 for the anniversary event. No map was released, and there wasn't any survivors. The chapter included the Ghostface. And this really makes a lot of sense, because when Stranger Things was getting canceled, they rapid-fired cosmetics, because there wasn't enough time to slow release them. They were releasing, for Steve, they were releasing Jonathan, and then they were releasing, new cosmetics very quickly. Now, if you paid attention in the recent Rift, they released quite a few cosmetics for Ghostface. That could be a good sign, but the amount of cosmetics was large. It was kind of a lot for such a short period of time. I can't help but feel scared about that. Now, another sign is that the Scream franchise has been resurrected and they are releasing more films. And if these movies do well, then I don't see a reason for them not to do a Scream video game. And by DVD having Ghostface, it's kind of competition for if they created a new game. So they might revoke the license. All I can say is that when the next movie comes out, if it does well, pay close attention to the next 6 months that follow afterward. I give Ghostface less than a year or more, because it's all depending on the next chapter of the Scream franchise. Now, number 2 is probably my most controversial spot on the list, and that is the Silent Hill chapter, which was released for the anniversary event back in June 2020. This chapter included Pyramid Head, Cheryl Mason, and the Midwich Elementary School. But I will say, even though it's controversial being number 2 on my list, my reasoning's actually pretty good, pretty sound, I would say. Konami has released an announcement for the remake of Silent Hill 2, which Pyramid Head originated from. Now, I don't suspect a multiplayer game of Silent Hill to come out, but I have read that the remake will not be released to Xbox, so if they strike Xbox, I'm sure they can strike Silent Hill from Dead by Daylight. And it's been 2 years since its release, and they've only released a few cosmetics since its arrival, and I also expect them to remove the map, much like they did to Hawkins. Like I said, we recently got a cosmetic for Cheryl, and Fang got a matching one, but I really don't see that as a good sign. So I give that a little less than a year to maybe a little more. Now for number 1. Number 1 on the list. A Nightmare on Elm Street, which was released in October 2017 and the killer has been reworked once, and several various maps have been released. The chapter included Freddy Krueger, Quentin Smith, and Badham Preschool. Now, my number one pick, and the reason it's number one, after Bubba, of course, is that Nightmare on Elm Street was the second chapter to be released, and this license has not released any new cosmetics ever. Quentin has 3 cosmetics, and Freddy has 2, and this includes their outfit that they start with, their prestige skin, and buying the chapter from the platform store. The license holder has not allowed Behavior to add anything else. The most we get are map reworks. I truly believe this chapter is dead in the water, and once Leatherface is removed, Freddy will probably follow suit. He's not a well-regarded killer in the game. Now, with all this being said, I don't think we'll lose Badham like we did with Hawkins, primarily because the map is very different from the film, and I think that all that will happen is the game will change the name of the map and realm and leave it in, but it'll remove the characters. So I give it either when Bubba leaves or when the contract expires, that it'll probably leave as well. Okay, and with that being said, that was my ranking, and please remember this is just a speculation, nothing is proof, just my personal belief. And also, don't feel bad. As the old licenses get removed, new ones will replace them, so have hope. And with all that said and done, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I hope you guys will be in my next video. If not, I will see you whenever. Okay, thank you guys, and bye.